Greetings, my name is Shalina Yanda Memela. Welcome to Young Minds Youth on the Rise, where passion meets purpose. So if you have been looking for a show that is transparent as possible, this is your show, where entrepreneurs are crystal clear with their journey, creativity, and success. Today we're at Lolly 2 to meet Sibongile Mazibuko, the author of Life's First Cry. We're in front of a house. I love reading. So let's go inside and allow her to take her through her journey.
Hi guys, igama lami nguSibongile. I am a 22-year-old born and bred in the south of Johannesburg. I am currently located in Lolly. So I'm a student and I'm also pursuing my career in field organizing. So I just wanted to take this opportunity and introduce my special book to you. So just a year ago, I wrote my book. It's titled From Life's First Cry to Final Breath. And yeah, trust me, I do get a lot of questions. Where does the inspiration come from? Or rather, where did I get so much courage and braveness? Because I consider my book a very personal book. Because it's not easy to just share your emotions, share experience with people you don't know. But I also think I found the importance in bringing healing and awareness, especially to people who've never dealt with such things or who don't understand what it is. I mean, I've met quite a few people who don't even know what is a substance, who don't even, or have never encountered somebody who's went through drug abuse. So I just wanted to give perspective, but more than anything else, I think my main objective was to make sure that I give closure to the guidance to the parents, because in my experience I had close ones to me express how they felt what happened, and I think more than anything in my recovery phase it's what hurt me the most. So let me just get into my book and explain what it is so that you can get where I'm coming from. So I did drugs for a minimum of 3 years, and I left school. I dropped out of school, I left home, I just did my own things until there was a point where and I thought, no ways, I am going back. So that's where my life turned around. So me going back to school was also something very difficult. I mean, I had to get used to it. I had to relocate my mind in the proper space, because things are different now. Although I don't want to lie, I had no troubles whatsoever in trying to recover. It was an easy one for me. And definitely I thank God for everything, because had it not been for God, I tell you I would not be here. Because most people will tell you about rehab, and I have no theory whatsoever about rehab. Ask me now, how do you make sure you drugs? I can't tell you any story about any concept of rehab or anything, but I can just tell you about God. So I've gotten a lot of people ask, what tempted you? How did you end up with my drugs? What happened exactly to you? Because they look at me now there's no way. I'm yes ways, because I was never like this, right? I grew. So I believe things like this is your coolest as a human being. I don't think right now I would have launched my book. There was no way had I not went through the experience. So how? So I met this other friend of mine who's let's come, let's just chill. So I went. I mean, I was always eager, growing up, especially when you're experiencing adolescence, grade 10, when you're about my 15, I was very young for that matter. But because growing up, I was always inquisitive, I was always willing to try new things, always excited about life. I had a zest for life, so everything was easy for me to try out. Didn't know one day it was going to be a trap. So he says no, let's try this thing. So I'm so trust me, it was not pressure. A lot of people think go to Zupi Mama drugs, it's always pressure or it's somebody who's trying to get you. No, I did it willingly. I literally wanted to do it. So when I tried it out, next thing you know, so we imagine so that's how it all started. So I always tell my readers and audience that my intention was not to be a drug addict. My intention was not to hurt my mom. My intentions was not to ruin my life. I mean, I delayed 3 years of my life. So what happens is that you fall in love with how it makes you feel. So more than anything, addiction is how it makes me feel, not the substance, not the literal drug on its own, but how it made me feel so free. It made me feel like I'm in a stress. It made me feel like, you know, I'm a free human being. So I fell in love with how it made me feel more than anything else, and I think that's how I got addicted. It's the feeling that drove me. So I then started going constantly. So I realized one day, I was like, no, I think, I mean, like, I'm feeling oppressed. I want to be high, and I want to be freely high for that matter. So I left home. My parents obviously tried to get me out there, but you know, but at the end of the day, moral of the story is, it's not always peer pressure. It's not always somebody or sometimes it's really a decision that you make yourself and say, I just want to try this out. But little did I know that I was trying myself into death. So the process of writing my book was quite a difficult one. I mean, I was not a writer, nor did I even have any interest in writing a book, or actually anything that has to do with writing, right? So now I'm thinking, oh God, I have this experience, I have this beautiful experience, I have this beautiful perspective. I really want to get out there. I want to advocate for addiction. I want to advocate for victims, right? That's my intention. But I'm thinking, now where do I get this platform? How do I do this? Which platform do I use to speak out? Where I can reach millions of people. Not even millions of people, but where I can at least touch one heart to change. So now, first thing that comes to my mind, I'm like, okay, let me just write a book, right? I'm thinking, okay, fine, but where do I start? I mean, we don't have a lot of readers. I'm living literally in a remoted area, Eloli too, where you will not get a lot of writers or readers or anything that inspires writing or reading. We only own one library that is very far from us. So you could imagine writing and reading is not really an inspiration to us. It's not something that's always there in front of us. So now I take a very blank paper, I take a pen, and I start expressing how I feel. So that was the whole process of me writing. It started by me expressing how I feel. And as it went on and went on, I found meaning. And then I started thinking, you know what, let me write everything that I went through. So what I did was I literally hand wrote my book with a pen and a paper, with less knowledge on how I'm even going to get my book into a literal copy. So what I do is that I continue writing day after day. The difficulties are that sometimes you run out of thoughts, you run out of ideas, you run out of words, so you get demotivated. Minus those cards, you need fans. I'm thinking, yo, what am I gonna do? But then I get motivation for some reason, and thank God, I guess this was the will of God. So I write this book handwritten, and I approach a local internet cafe, and he advises me on the fact that, no, we will type it out for you. So I literally had to go to the internet cafe every day and type out every word by word, ngapha my mistakes, until God came through in my life and like somebody introduced me to my publisher. So the whole process of me going to the internet cafe was wrong. So you could imagine I wasted time going to the internet. So I had to leave all of that now and approach my publisher. So I approached my publisher, and she's like, no, it's fine, I'll type everything out for you, we will just fix, we will just edit, we will just proofread and everything. And that is where everything started. So luckily enough, I was introduced to my publisher, but the whole process I was very blank. I did not know everything. So everything that happened in the whole process of writing was me learning day by day on, oh, this is how it's done. Alright, so let's speak about the recovery phase. That is one of the most difficult phases that happens during the whole process, because now you need to face your fears. You cannot run away from your fears. You need to face them. You need to face them head on. You need to be very brave about it. But most importantly, you need to be very intentional. That is why we have people who will withdraw, people who will say, I've been doing drugs for like 6 years already, and I've been going back more than 6 times already. Like, how does that happen? And I'm not saying, they will tell you I want to, but I can't. That could be because they don't have enough support. It could be because they're not intentional. It could be because they're not genuine. It could be because they're not really willing to stop. Could be a lot of reasons why. I might never know why, but I do know that I was very intentional in stopping. So now when you now welcome this person who's trying to recover home, I still believe that the way you left home is how you're going to find. I mean, they still don't trust you. They still think, maybe you could go back at any day. I mean, as for me, when I came back home, my mother was very accepting of me, and they really believed in me. So the more you show that and you don't trust them, you are causing them to also demean and discredit themselves, right? So I think it's really important that you show that you believe in them. No matter, even if you are doubtful, I'm not saying like do that at the expense of your feelings, but I'm saying give them a chance to prove themselves. Trust them, be their strength, be there for them, be their closest friend. So I'd just like to encourage everybody who is probably going through the same situation, who says, I have a child out there, I have a nephew out there, I have an uncle out there, that just hold on. I think it's a journey. As I mentioned before, I wouldn't be here had it not been for the experience. It could be misery for glory, it could be a lot of reasons why, but just always be there for them. Because now what happens is that the day they decide, I really want to stop drugs, you will be there for them. Because I could imagine, had I not had an accepting mother like I did, and I came home and she was like, yeah, I wouldn't have been here. Because I come back home and it's still the same. So in that journey of recovery, be there, give support, become their strength. More importantly, pray for them. So our book was launched on the 2nd of December. I launched it at church. I had a lot of support from friends and family. So we had a little activity of Q&As where people had to ask me questions about concerning the book. It was really exciting. So where do you get the book? Get the book from me personally. The book is 130. You can also find me on Facebook. My Facebook account is Sibongile Manana Tladi, and also you can find me at my email address, which is sibongile35@gmail.com.
And that is how we wrap up our interview with Usibongile. You may never know what a person is going through unless you get to sit down and talk to them. And it's evident enough that the grass is not always greener on the other side. Now, if you're sitting at home and you want to start up your own book, I hope this interview was helpful. With that being said, hope to see you on our next episode. Until then, adios, mi amigos.